The physical effects of earthworm on the soil. The basically basic the basic mode of life of an earthworm is burrowing. Earthworm will be burrowing into the soil. And whatever effects or whatever impacts of earthworm on the soil is because of this burrowing nature of the earthworm. So here we can see that the physical effects of earthworm on the soil basically results from the excavation. Excavation means digging of marrows and production of cast. What is a cast? If you go early morning, you can see that on the surface of the soil, small mounds of soil, and these are known by the name earthworm cast. So that is what is the basic nature. Earthworm has a habit of digging into the soil and making cast. So this is the process that results in enriching the soil. So cast consists of mixed organic and inorganic material like excreted masses of soil mixed with residues of comminuted, means broken into smaller spaces, and digested plant residue. Basically, this earthworm cast is consisting of some amount of organic matter and some amount of soil plus digested material, because when the soil is passing through the intestine of the earthworm, some amount of digestion will be taking place and some amount of excretory matter will be there. All these will be present in the earthworm cast. And because of that, this earthworm cast will be containing higher amount of nitrogen and phosphorus. So that will be increasing the fertility of the soil. So that is why we always say that earthworms are friends of the farmer, because they are enriching the soil fertility. By increasing the fertility of the soil, earthworms have a capacity of boosting the production of agriculture. So that is why earthworms are always considered as friends of the farmer. And casts that are deposited beneath the soil surface contributed to pedogenesis. Pedogenesis means soil formation, because only a very loose soil which has plenty of air spaces can make a good fertile soil. If the soil doesn't have enough amount of air spaces, enough amount of moisture or water content, or enough amount of nitrogen and potassium, that soil may not be good for agriculture. So a soil that consists of plenty of air spaces, water, nitrogen and phosphorus is an ideal soil for the growth of plant. So what earthworms are doing is that earthworm is increasing the process of soil formation, especially soil, agriculturally rich soil. And that process of soil formation is known by the name pedogenesis. So pedogenesis is a type of soil formation. But those deposited on the surface are probably more significant in terms of soil profile development. What is the profile of the soil? Because a soil should contain little amount of air spaces also. It is in this air spaces oxygen as well as water will be present. So if air spaces are not present in the soil, what will be the impact? There will not be any air or any oxygen for the growth of the growth and respiration of the plant roots. So if they are not getting enough oxygen, they cannot respire properly. If they are not able to get enough water, they may not able to grow properly. So that is the importance of soil profile. Soil profile means the soil will be containing sufficient amount of air as well as water. Then earthworm cast develop as soil aggregates by forms of gums that result from microbial digestion or by binding effect of the fungal hypha. The meaning is that when soil is passed through the intestine of the earthworm, that earthworm will be releasing some kind of materials that will be helping in the binding or attachment of the soil to each other, or binding of the soil particles with each other. So, and along with that, some amount of fungal filaments or fungal hyphae will be also present. So that will be increasing the what you call binding effect of the soil. So soil will remain closely packed together. That is the effect. So shape and physical packing of aggregates influence. One is aeration, as I already told you. When earthworm is eating the soil, it is releasing the soil as an excretory matter that contain a lot of air spaces that will be increasing the aeration or of air carrying capacity or amount of oxygen and water available. Second is the water holding capacity, because earthworm will be increasing the amount of air spaces inside the soil, and in that air spaces water will be present. So more air spaces means more water holding capacity. Then surface area of the soil. Surface area is that when a material is broken down into smaller pieces, the total surface area will be increasing. So earthworm is actually breaking down larger soil particles into smaller soil particles, and thereby it is also increasing the surface area of the soil. Then infiltration of water and thus availability of channels through which roots may grow. Because one advantage of the process of digestion carried out by earthworm is that it makes the soil more soft, more loose, so that the roots of the plant can easily penetrate or easily move through that air spaces, and that can grow easily. So that is one advantage that earthworm is doing to the plant. It will be making the soil more loose, so that the roots of the plants can easily penetrate into the soil and establish them. Availability of sites for nutrient uptake by plant, and through this the availability of site for nutrient uptake by plants. There is some sentence, just delete this. So what is meaning is that nutrient uptake. The second sentence also you are read, and through these things fertility of the soil. These two sentences you combine. Availability of the sites for nutrients. What are the important type of nutrients which are needed by the plants? Basically the phosphorus and nitrogen and potassium. When plants are able to absorb this nitrogen, potassium and sulfur, nitrogen, potassium and sulfur, that will be increasing the fertility of the soil and also the growth of the soil. So these are the many different forms of cast which are often typical of species that produce them, because every earthworm will be producing its own separate kind of earthworm cast. By simply looking at the shape of the earthworm cast, we may be able to identify to which species this earthworm belongs. Cast support the growth and survival of microorganisms. That is another advantage, because cast can increase the growth of the microorganism. By increasing the growth of microorganisms also, it is increasing the fertility of the soil. And they also contain enzymes such as proteases, amylases, lipases. Proteases means protein digesting enzyme. Amylases means carbohydrate digesting enzyme. Lipase means lipid digesting enzyme. Cellulose means cellulose digesting enzyme. And chitinase means chitin breaking or chitin digesting enzyme. So the earthworm cast will be also containing number of microorganisms, and this microorganism is also be producing certain enzymes, and these enzymes also helping in the disintegrating the organic matter, because soil will be containing the many different types of organic matter like plants as well as animal remains, and that will be improving the overall fertility of the soil. Earthworm form burrows by literally eating their way through soil and pushing through crevices So that is one advantage of earthworm. Earthworm will be now making burrows, and these burrows are helpful in the development of the soil plant roots. ഇത് വലിയ ശല്യമുള്ളത്. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒരു ഷെൽ സൗണ്ട് ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു സുഖം ഉണ്ടാവില്ല കുറച്ച് നേരം കേട്ട് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ. ഓക്കെ, മൈക്കുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് തൊണ്ടകീറി പറയണ്ടെന്നുള്ളൊരു ആശ്വാസമുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അതുകൊണ്ട് മൈക്ക് വാങ്ങി വെച്ചത്. ഇങ്ങനത്തെ കുറെ ശല്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ അവിടെ നിന്ന് കിടക്കി പോലും. So not all species have burrows. It is usually only those species that penetrate deep into the soil. So these are the species like Lumbricus terrestrius, then Aproectodia longa, Aproectodia nocturna, Lambitum mauritii. These are some of the species that are making burrows and that are important in the process of earthworm cast formation. Okay, and earthworm burrows are basically of two types. One is a permanent burrow. Yes. There are two types of burrows that earthworms are making. One is permanent and other one is a temporary. Those that are permanent burrows where food is gathered and maintained by the removal to the surfaces. So one type of earthworm cast are more or less permanent, and our other type is temporary, in which earthworm makes it as it moves within the soil from one place to another place. So that means the first type of burrow earthworm cast are remaining there most of the time on the same place. Other type of burrow is a temporary burrow, because as earthworm is moving from one part of the soil to another part of the soil, it will be making a new cast also. So this is regarding the basic effects of that, and what you have to keep in your mind is that these are the basic effects of basic physical effects of earthworm burrowing on the soil. It is increasing the aeration, increasing the water holding capacity, increasing the surface area of the soil, and it is helping in the infiltration of the water. Then it is also helping in the uptake of nutrients and also by increasing the fertility of the soil. So these are the primary physical effects of earthworm on the soil. Now we will see what are the chemical effects of earthworm on the soil. Basically, earthworm alter the chemical composition of soil and the distribution of plant nutrients by consuming large quantities of surface litter and organic material. So basically earthworm is a soil feeding organism. It is a soil feeding animal. It is feeding or eating on the soil and releasing the soil as excretory matter. So when the soil is passing through the intestine of the earthworm, some chemical changes are taking place to the soil, and these are the important effects of the chemical effects of earthworm. So transport of this material to the subsurface layer of the soil. During this process, much of the organic material ingested, macerated and excreted. So when earthworm is releasing or excreting the soil, along with the nutrients, some amount of nitrogenous waste, and most of these nitrogenous waste are rich in nitrogen, potassium and phosphorus. So they are very useful for the growth of the plant. That is a basic effect. Ammonia, which forms a large proportion of nitrogenous waste. Even in this ammonia is an important nitrogenous waste in the case of most of the animals. Even in these human beings, mammals, birds, etc., ammonia is produced. So earthworm is also producing ammonium as a nitrogenous waste. This ammonia is basically nitrogen and containing chemical. So when this ammonia is broken down, that will be releasing a lot of nitrogen, and along with the nitrogen, phosphorus will be there, and that will be increasing the fertility of the soil. So ammonia, which forms a larger proportion of nitrogen waste, excreted by earthworm may cause temporary rise in the soil pH. Rise in soil pH means increase in soil pH. That is, when soil pH is increasing, soil becomes more basic or more alkaline. So that is one another effect of the increasing ammonia. Increasing ammonia will be increasing the pH of the soil, making the soil more alkaline. The pH of the earthworm, where is it? The pH of the earthworm cast is generally closer to neutrality. That is, normally if you measure the pH of an earthworm cast, it will be around 7, and that is the soil from neutrality than that of the soil from which they are. So that is another effect, because earthworm has an effect of neutralizing the soil pH. Because if an earthworm is living in a basic soil or an alkaline soil, or earthworm is living in an acidic soil, by the process of this feeding and excreting the soil, and the earthworm is also making sure that the pH of the soil will be coming to neutral pH, that's around 7. So that is, earthworm can convert a basic soil into a neutral soil, as well as an acidic soil into a neutral soil. That is also another effect of earthworm. So coming to the base chemical effect, this is one of the important effects. It can convert a soil into a neutral soil. Then it can increase the amount of nitrogenous base, thereby increasing the amount of nitrogen, phosphorus and present in the soil. A comparison of a vermicast with the surrounding soil revealed that casts have a higher base exchange capacity and are generally rich in total organic matter, exchangeable bases, phosphorus, potassium, manganese and calcium. That is, if you chemically analyze the earthworm cast, we can see that earthworm cast has higher amount of potassium, phosphorus, manganese, calcium and also alkaline content. So that is one important effect of earthworm cast. It has a higher normal amount of phosphorus, potassium, manganese and also total and higher amount of organic matter. So that is increasing the fertility of the soil. So basically, the effect of physical effect or chemical effect can be put in a nutshell as increasing the soil fertility. Earthworm seems to favor nitrification, since they increase the bacterial population and soil aeration. Nitrification basically means converting. I have some doubt in that. Nitrification, we'll check that. Converting nitrate into nitrate or something, that is called a nitrification. Let it come. So that is how the nitrification is being carried out. So there is one important effect of earthworm. It will be increasing the nitrification. Nitrification means basically formation of nitrate. That's a basic event. I have some doubt in that. Okay. What is? Okay. Convert ammonium into nitrate. That process is that is the nitrification is basically formation of nitrate, converting ammonia into nitrate or nitrate. That process is what we call nitrification. So earthworm is actually converting the formation of ammonia into either nitrate or nitrite, and in that process the earthworm will be increasing the population of the bacteria and also amount of air spaces present in the soil. So there is another important chemical effect, that the earthworm is increasing the nitrification of the soil. And significant amount of nitrogen can pass directly through earthworm biomass in the terrestrial ecosphere, because there are thousands or millions of earthworms. And because of the large number, They are actually contributing an important role in the soil formation and also important in the production of soil biomass in the ecosystem. So other sources of nitrogen for soil include decaying roots, excreta from vertebrate and vertebrate fauna, dead plant and animal material, and nitrogen fixation process. So along with this nitrate formation by earthworm, there are also other important methods of nitrogen formation. But basically, earthworm is contributing an important part of the nitrate formation. The higher concentration of available phosphate, that is another chemical effect of the earthworm. Earthworm is contributing to the increased concentration of the available phosphate in that. Earthworm also increase the availability of phosphorus from ground phosphate rock and also superphosphate, and that is another effect of the earthworm. That is, earthworm is not only increasing the amount of nitrogen, it is also increasing the amount of the phosphorate or phosphate available to the plants for their growth. Then contribution to organic matter, that is another effect. So another chemical effect of the earthworm is that earthworm will be breaking down the organic matter and release and recycling of nutrient that it contains. That is also another important effect of the earthworm. They remove partially decomposed plant litter and crop residues from the soil surface, ingest it. So there is another effect of the earthworm is that earthworm is breaking down the organic material. By breaking down the organic material, it is increasing the availability of the organic material for the growth of the plant. So coming to the chemical effect, basically we can notice that it is important in increasing the exchange capacity, increasing the amount of nitrate available in the soil, increasing the amount of phosphate produced by the soil, and also the amount of available organic matter that can be present in the soil. So these are some of the important effects of the earthworm, chemical effects of the earthworm. Now we have to see about the vermicompost and vermiculture, and we will come to that after some minutes. Okay. So take a break, short break. After that we will